First Sip Brew Box is a one-of-a-kind subscription service for craft beer lovers based right here in Pittsburgh. Every month, First Sip will send you a box full of craft beer enthusiast essentials, including t-shirts, glassware, and even food. Right now, our friends at First Sip Brew Box have an offer for you. Just sign up for a 3-month subscription and get your 4th month free. Just enter the code HOPUSA when you sign up at firstsipbrewbox.com. That's HOPUSA at checkout to get your 4th month free at firstsipbrewbox.com.
Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation USA Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children over the age of 21, welcome to the Hop Nation USA Podcast. What was that? Guys, there's an intro we have not heard in quite some time.
It's like, Throwback Thursday, but you should be listening to us on a Friday.
Yes, at noon when new episodes air.
Friday at noon.
I don't think people would have heard that probably since July of 2018.
Sure.
I don't know.
I think that was the last time I was on this podcast.
You keep better track of when you're on than we do.
I don't know. Yeah.
I guess I did the December mini episode or super episode, whatever you want to call it.
Supersode.
Supersode with all of our good craft beer loving friends.
Not to mention the shit show.
But
Not to mention the shit
Sam
show.
is back on the show, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
At least for me, because I haven't done this in a while, and hopefully I'm not too rusty.
Yeah. So do you remember what to do next?
Well, let's see. We are episode 94?
Nope.
No.
3.
Nope.
No.
Two.
There you
There it
go.
is.
92. Okay, so I knew to introduce the episode number next.
Okay.
And to my right, I guess I should say as always, because normally when I'm on the show, you're to my right,
Right.
so always for me. As always is Steve.
Hello.
Steve, what's up?
Hello.
And to my left is Adam.
Of course.
Of course, man. Guys, I think I still got it.
This intro has been a lot like watching like people in physical therapy when they have the parallel bars.
Where they're taking like the little granny steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you see them just sweating.
Yeah. But we're doing it.
Well, I gotta wade back into the water, guys. I'm not just gonna jump right into the deep end. I gotta make sure that I still know what I'm talking about here.
Really?
Well, we hope so. We hope
Yeah,
so.
it's not that difficult.
I know.
We didn't switch format. We're not on to like nanotechnologies or cryptocurrencies or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Steve is not a robot
It's not a car show yet.
yet.
Adam still is a
yet?
robot.
Wait, what?
You've always been a robot.
Oh.
Remember Earth 2, Adam the robot?
Oh, that's right.
That's a callback.
That was a
Callbacks all
callback.
episode.
Wow.
Now, lucky for you guys, even though I haven't been podcasting with you recently, I have still been enjoying craft beer. So hopefully there's a lot to talk about on the show today, and I can, contribute some good nuggets of information.
No pun intended, I'm sure.
That's right.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Well, why don't you start by...
We only had 450 North on the show today. Damn it.
Yeah, well, that's future episodes. If you happen to have any 450 North and from their Nugget series or their Slushy series and you'd like to send them this way, just email us at hopnationusa@gmail.com.
Yay. I would love to get my hands on some of that.
Where are they out of?
Somewhere in Nowhere, Indiana. Is Nowhere, Indiana a place? Because I think that's where they're from. It's somewhere in Indiana. I can't
All
remember
right.
the town, but that's where they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they get a...
We'll say Columbus, Indiana.
Sure.
Sure.
They
What
get
the
a lot
hell?
of buzz on the gram, so...
Yeah.
See, I'm not on the gram.
I know.
Well, we're all technically on the gram.
True.
Oh, we're all
together.
we're all technically on the gram.
Again,
but
that's a
he's not on the
throwback
gram.
from last week's episode where I was yelling at Dennis for his Instagram having weird, what is it, man children?
No.
Was
It's all about the fact that the millennials are in the eating ass.
Oh, that's right. They're eating ass.
Yeah.
He's got kids eating ass on his Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I'm not the one that have kids eating ass on my Instagram.
Man, this show has taken a turn. Talking about kids eating ass on Instagram?
Not kids, but the millennials, the youngins.
Yeah.
The youngins. Okay, well, that's good that it's not kids.
Yeah,
Hopefully
not
it's
kids,
at least
kids.
everybody,
Right.
anybody over the age of 18.
Yes.
Agreed.
I mean, to each
Yes.
their own, but
Yes.
interesting.
Just remember, kids, you got to be over 18 to eat ass, but over 21 to drink beer.
That is true. That is true. Well, anyhow, we're not going to be drinking any 450 North on the show today, but we are going to be drinking some absolutely fantastic beers in what is my favorite style of the moment, maybe of all time. I don't know. That's a bold statement, but it might be true.
You
Been
gotta
drinking this
stand. You
beer
gotta
for the
stand
last
by
couple
it.
of years, so
Take a hard stance. Be an
right.
authority on the subject.
Shit or get off the pot, Sam.
yeah, that's right. Well, it's kind of hard to think about though, because I mean, this is kind of like the flavor of the week, but it's been that flavor for the last couple of years. So, don't want to keep everybody in suspense. This episode is going to be brought to you by the great state of Boston, Massachusetts.
Wait.
City.
Boston's a city, Massachusetts is a state, blah, blah, blah.
Actually,
Anywho,
you're wrong. Massachusetts is
a
actually a Commonwealth.
All
That's right.
Just like PA.
And Virginia. And
All right.
Kentucky.
Can we get to the beer?
Oh, I would
Something
love
wanna
to.
say.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
god. Anywho, we have 3 New England IPAs on the show for us to consume today, and they are all out of the Boston area. So this is going to be like an origin story episode. We're going to drink the beers. We're going to learn about how this style developed, where it came from. We're going to talk about some other stuff too.
Sure.
Wow. That's all great and all, but let me talk now.
I know. I have a feeling Steve is ready for me to shut the hell up and get off of
Well,
the
no,
show.
I'm ready for you to introduce the first beer. You've been touting these beers. You're obviously the IPA. I believe I called you Pontificator in a previous
Sounds about
episode.
right.
Yeah. So now's your time. Start pontificating. Give us our first one.
All right, so Steve is ready to drink. So first up, we are going to be drinking a beer from a brewery out of Boston called Fat Orange Cat. And this beer is a New England style IPA, surprise, surprise, coming in at an 8% ABV. And this beer is called the F.O.C.Less Monster. And looking at the can art, it has a cat in here in our body of water mimicking the Loch Ness Monster, and it's F.O.C.Less because that's actually an acronym for Fat Orange Cat. F.O.C.Less Monster.
Oh.
So, what's very exciting about Fat Orange Cat, though, is that they just started distributing to Pittsburgh. That's a relatively new thing in the last few months, and we're very excited to welcome them, especially myself, because
You're
I love this
very
style of
excited.
beer.
Right, yeah.
We haven't had anything from them. We can't make that decision yet.
But after today, you will no longer be able to say that. So why don't I crack this damn thing and we start enjoying this F.O.C.Less Monster.
So while Sam pours these up, I have a disclaimer for the episode. It's quite obvious that Sam is very excited for all these beers, and he can't wait to just jam them down our gullets and force us to enjoy them. Adam,
Force is a good word. I'm going to force you guys to enjoy all of these beers.
yeah. Adam, on the other hand, if you've listened to any episode, know that IPAs do not settle well with him, so he's likely to be a grumpy bear all episode. I, on the other hand, feel like I get the one to be the voice of reason this episode, for a change.
Yeah, this is a change. I will throw this out there that of the IPAs, the New England style is less terrible.
Yeah, it has been less terrible to you. You've actually liked some of them, and
Yes.
milkshake IPAs, so
Yeah, I have expanded my horizons a little bit.
a little bit. We've got our glasses here, and hey, big surprise, it's hazy
And orange.
and orange.
It is hazy and orange, but it's not as hazy as some of the other New England IPAs that are out there. I mean,
pretty
you
much-
can't see through it. There's no clarity in it, but
Are you sure this isn't just a Belgian beer?
Well, this looks a lot
No.
more hazy than a Belgian bear.
It's a little bit.
yeah.
A little bit.
But like Sam says,
not one of the
it's not
hazier
complete. It's not complete orange juice at this
No,
point either.
no, it is not.
So, do you know any of the stats on this? ABV. I see 8%.
yeah,
on
I
the
did
can.
say
you
ABV.
called that one out earlier.
8%.
Yeah.
IBUs.
Don't matter.
Probably not.
You know, that's a great question. I actually have no idea. It's not on the can, and I didn't look it up before the show, so sorry about that, Hop Nation.
Anything on the? Well, probably not. But you probably don't know what the hops that were used were. I'm gonna guess Citra is part.
Get right out of
I would
town.
assume so.
Get
Probably some Citra, maybe a little bit of Mosaic,
Ooh.
maybe some Galaxy. I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe we should try it first, and then we'll try to pinpoint what hops are in here.
Okay.
Okay, it's on the nose. It's tropical, citrusy. It's there.
Mine smells like hand lotion, but that might be because I just use hand lotion right before I turn on the microphone.
Try it without your fingers. Just put it on the table and put your nose up to it.
Oh, Okay, it no longer smells like hand lotion.
Yeah, good.
Well, that's good. Because it shouldn't.
Does yours smell coconutty to you guys?
Smell like a tropical paradise.
Mine smells like tea. I just bought a tea hand soap.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bath and Body Works?
No,
Oh.
Eagle.
Yeah, all right.
Fair enough.
Want to drink it?
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that. So Adam doesn't like it. I can just tell looking at his face. He's not happy.
I'm really not.
Well, what's
Sorry,
nice about
Sam.
this beer is that it's kind of like, it doesn't, to me, taste like a traditional New England style IPA. It's kind of a mishmash between East Coast and West Coast to me, and I'll explain this, that I'm getting a lot of tropical notes up front, more of those citra hops, but on the back end, it's kind of finishing a little piney for me, which is more traditional of the West Coast IPAs. So I'm thinking that bitterness on the back end might be what Adam isn't enjoying right now.
That's part of it.
Well,
You hit the dartboard.
dang it, I wanted that triple 20. I only got a single.
Single 20. So I'm going to go along with what Sam said. I do get it. And it does have that resinous back end that just sits around with you. It doesn't bother me. I kind of like this beer so far.
Nope.
Yeah, I like it. It's relatively clean. It has a lot of flavor to it. My palate is enjoying it.
Mine is not. No, to me, it's that hop residue. If you're not a hop head, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
There are other IPAs, especially the hazy or the New England style. That's all the same thing.
Right.
But where they are able to get out of their own way.
Yeah, well, in this one, it seems a lot more like the hops were actually used in the boil and the bitter.
Right.
It's not just a straight-up dry hop.
Right.
Or a cryo hop at the end. This is, it has real hop character to it.
They tried to make a hybrid of a hybrid.
Kind of, yeah.
So I like it so far. I like beers that have a bite to them. So, and this one does have one.
What's interesting about this brewery and the other breweries we're going to enjoy on this show today, Adam, is that these breweries primarily produce IPA beers. So every one that they put out might be slightly different. So there might be other Fat Orange Cat beers that you might enjoy because they, the hop profile's a little different. It might be a little smoother, a little more mellow for you.
Right. I'm not saying that it's a poorly executed beer. That's not what I'm saying. It's not a bad beer. It's just not a beer for me.
Hey, to each their own. I'm just saying, in an IPA world, there's going to be a lot of option out there for you, and with these breweries, everyone is going to be a little different. So
God, I hope it never comes to
you
that.
can write off this beer, but don't write off Fat Orange Cat. Look at this.
I don't want to live in an IPA world.
This F.O.C.Less monster, it loves you.
Adam, just be thankful for home brewing.
Gosh, I have no idea.
All right, well then I think it's time that we move on to the first segment of the evening. News and notes, and Sam, you haven't been here for this, but we added a third part to it, neat.
Yes.
Oh, news, notes, and neat. So
Yeah.
what's the neat?
Well, neat's just anytime we find something that isn't particularly interesting or relevant, or it's just something we enjoy.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Usually it's
oh,
beer
so it
related.
doesn't have to be beer related.
I mean, no, it
is.
It is. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's something that that's kind of happening in the industry that isn't necessarily news. Maybe
Yeah.
there's an individual brewery that's doing something different, or somebody reached a milestone, or
Something that we just found.
Yeah.
Like we might just be behind the times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like the one of the neats I found was that Brewdog USA actually puts out all of their recipes to homebrew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, that's
That
kind of
is
neat.
See?
Yeah, very neat.
including their the World's End.
Yeah, like every single one, including the one that's 55%.
Yeah.
55%. I'm not aware of this one, but
Sure you are.
Oh, yeah.
It's the World's End, the one that comes in the taxidermy squirrel.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, we did talk about
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
I have been away for a while.
But yeah, they put out every recipe, so
Cool.
yeah.
Neat.
Neat.
Now, where do you find that on their website?
Yeah. Yeah, just search DIY Brewdog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will do that. That's fun.
But I guess to go along with that, I have another neat that's very similar.
Fire away.
The Homebrew Association also puts out a list of clone recipes,
Oh, okay.
and they've put out their 2019 list of clones.
What's on the list?
Well, I can give you a couple, but I'll give you the setup. The setup is they take one beer from every state. and Washington, D.C.
Of course.
So I guess originally they did a list back in 2017 of clone recipes. And that didn't include DC.
I'm sure some people were up in arms. Blue Jacket was probably kind of fired up about it.
Yeah. And then I don't think they did one for 2018 because they didn't have one listed.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Tough economic times and all that.
Yeah. But back in 2017, because we didn't talk about this one either because the list came out before we had a show.
Right.
But you can find both for 101 recipes of brew clones. 2017 featured beers such as Pliny the Elder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pliny.
Yeah. Bell's Two Hearted. Alaskan Smoked Porter.
Ooh.
Yeah. Representing Ohio, the Edmund Fitz
Yeah.
from Great Lakes.
Yep.
So you can find a clone recipe for that. And representing PA, they had the Victory Prima Pills.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
From Victory.
Yeah, from Victory. Yeah. Yes, from Victory.
This guy gets it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that beer before. That's from the Victory Brewing Company.
Yeah. So 2019, just a couple of breweries that are represented, and you'll recognize them if you've listened to the show. Jolly Pumpkin,
Heard of him.
River Horse,
Heard of him.
Two Roads,
Had him. Two roads.
and Odell out of Colorado.
Odell's.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Man,
So a
they're
couple-
really
yeah, a
going
couple
coast
beers
to
out there.
coast.
Do you want to hazard a guess as to who is representing Pennsylvania this year?
I do.
Okay.
I am going to go with, it's got to be somebody on the western side of the state.
Okay.
I am going to go with Voodoo.
Okay. Sam?
I am going to say Trogs or Penn Brewery.
Okay. Well, you're both wrong.
How
That's just
so?
it. Oh, because it's church.
Oh, church. I was going to say we danced around that one.
Yeah. So the Church Brew Works is contributed their Pious Dunkel.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, that's a good one. I like the Pious Dunkel.
It's a pretty good one. I read the recipe though, and you better be learning how to do a decoction brewing.
Okay.
Anybody who doesn't know what a decoction brew is, that's where you have a multi-step mash recipe.
Yeah.
And you have to actually pull out a portion of the mash, reboil it to break it down even further.
Uh-huh.
And then you introduce it back into the mash. This is obviously an all grain recipe.
Oh, yeah.
But you introduce it back into the mash to bring up the temperature to another step temperature. Yeah.
So, Church, if you're listening, I have a fantastic idea for you.
What's that?
For your next beer. You need to make a pumpkin Pious Dunkel. You get it?
We get
Get it. And now I kind of want it.
I know, right?
That doesn't sound half bad. I hope Church is listening to this.
I made that joke in my head, and then I stepped back for a minute. Like, no, wait, that's actually a really good idea.
I mean, you
Like,
just
no
gave-
way it works.
Just gave a gold medal winning idea here, Adam.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
I want 10%.
Hopefully, you can get out there and convince them to put our name on it.
Yes. Ooh, in collaboration with Hop Nation
Yeah,
USA.
exactly.
There you go.
I think that should be maybe a goal for Pittsburgh Craft Beer Week. Is we secretly meet with a bunch of breweries,
Just we get collaborations with everybody.
right, and then have like maybe 6 or 7 collaborations.
Hop Nation USA collaborating on everything.
Yeah.
Just trying to get your name on every collaboration beer out there.
We're gonna be the Mr. Worldwide of podcast beer.
Crest House, Allegheny City, Rivertown, Hop Nation USA, Spoonwood, Insurrection, Couch,
Hey, that's
Hop Nation USA.
Hey, that's a cool lager you got there. Mind if I yell Pitbull a couple times at it?
You made this? I made
Hey,
this.
Oh, God.
Would you like another neat?
Yes, I would.
So I was perusing the internet, as one tends to do. And did you know that there is actually a brewery inside a national park in these United States?
No.
Nope.
There is. Anybody want to hazard a guess at what state it's in?
Montana.
No.
Damn it.
Sam.
Hopefully Pennsylvania.
No.
That wouldn't be allowed.
No.
in this
It is
state.
actually in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There is a national park in Hot Springs, Arkansas,
Okay.
because of the hot springs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there were 8 or 10 row houses that were part of the park but fell into disrepair. In 2013, there was a government resolution to bring these buildings back up to snuff, new AC units, new roof, all that good stuff. Just refurb it. And as part of that, there is a brewer from up north. I want to say it was Illinois or Indiana. I don't know which one it was. One of the I states.
Okay, Iowa.
No, I don't think it was Iowa.
Fine.
But if anybody from Iowa is listening, send us some Toppling Goliath beer, preferably the Pseudo Sue.
Hot plug.
Yeah, hot plug.
Hot plug.
Hot plug for more IPAs.
That Adam's not going to enjoy.
Right.
So the brewer contacted the Park Service, said, "Hey, has there ever been a brewery inside a national park?" They said, "No. However, we have this space available in Hot Springs, Arkansas."
Okay.
So they opened up their doors in late 2017. And so what's interesting is Hot Springs, Arkansas, obviously has the hot springs where the water comes out at about 145 degrees.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good for
Yeah.
brewing because you only have to go up about 10, 15 degrees.
Depending on what you're brewing, yeah.
Right, exactly. So that absolutely helps out with brewing costs
Yeah.
because you just got to go, boop, done.
Also, it would be natural and filtered. And
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it's
But the
natural
water
water.
would
It's
be
got a
really
good,
good.
neutral,
good neutral pH.
yeah, good neutral pH to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you know that the water in the hot springs is the official water of the White House?
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
fancy.
Thank you to Bill Clinton.
Fancy.
Yes. So they have 18
Thanks, Bill.
taps.
18?
available. 18, 1/8.
Oh, that's pretty
two more than
impressive.
16.
Yes, it is.
You could go foraging for diamonds.
I'm not getting in any caves, yo.
No, it's like out in the fields.
Oh, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, they got diamond fields.
Oh, really? Huh. Weird.
Sorry.
I didn't know that about Arkansas.
It's the diamond state.
I don't know a lot about the South and the
Just in
Midwest.
Yeah, it's in that weird spot where it's not quite the South and
Right.
not quite it's just sort of Arkansas.
Yeah, it butts up against everything.
Yeah.
It butts up against the South and Texas and the Midwest.
It's just Arkansas.
Just Arkansas.
Crazy.
Took them forever to listen to us, too.
Have you guys ever been to Arkansas?
Fist.
I have not.
No, neither have I.
I'm not-
That's why I don't know anything about it.
Right. I'm not against the state.
I've been there. Only once. And for a very short amount of time, but I was in Texarkana.
Oh, picking up some Coors.
Yes, yes. Yeah. No.
Take it east of the Mississippi.
Huh?
Take it east of the Mississippi. Don't you know that's bootlegging, boy?
That's true. That's bootlegging. This was the exact point where Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana meet. That's the town of Texarkana.
I thought it was Texarkana.
Texarkana. Whatever. Texarkana. Tomato.
Depends on the accent.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, Boston, it's Texarkana.
No, it's not.
If you from down south, it's Texarkana.
This is turning into a pecan conversation.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I want to go down that
Regardless of the town's name or how you pronounce it, it's where those three states meet. And there you can go and be in three states at the same time, which was very exciting for me, Adam.
path. And thus concludes this episode.
And that was very neat. Neat. That's my neat fun fact. It was about myself.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that I think it's kind of neat because it's also like the opposite of Alaskan brewing.
Right.
It takes their water off the glacier, and off the snowfields, and they get the really pure glacier water. This one gets the really pure hot spring water.
I think we need to get another Alaskan brew. We need to get a beer from these folks. And we need to have them on the show and then have them fight it out.
Okay. And they can fight it out against some Yakagini piss.
Yay, piss.
Bloom Brew.
By the way, the name of the brewery is
Right on the
Superior
Yakagini.
Bathhouse.
It's Superior Bathhouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Superior Bathhouse Brewing.
I just wanted to correct Sam real quick. I wouldn't call Bloom Brew piss.
No, it's really
No,
good.
no,
What are you
Bloom
talking
is
about?
Well, no, because they're right. Their breweries
they're
are
right-
literally
yeah, they're
on
right-
the Yakagani.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear because
Yeah.
I said Yakagini piss and then you said Bloom Brew.
Like-
but
No,
I've been to
Bloom-
Bloom Brew. I know they're good. I like going there. It's awesome.
we've also had them at places like Beers of the Berg. They're really good. I
really
enjoy
good, yeah.
They had a jalapeno beer. I was a big fan of.
Oh, yeah, same
Yeah.
here.
Yes,
I just want to make that very clear that we're not
Yeah,
saying bad
yeah.
things about Bloom Brew.
That wasn't incredibly timely when I made that statement. I just associate
Yeah.
the Yakagani with Bloom Brew.
Right,
because
right.
They got a nice little area, some picnic tables to sit out there, have some beers right on the river. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, so I got something neat to tell you guys. Given that this is neat segment is new for me, or at least that part of the segment.
Get in on the fun, Sam.
Yes, well, so far it is fun. And I found out another fun fact that Sly Fox Brewing is traveling across the state, and they are going to be plopping down a brew house right here in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
Where at in Pittsburgh?
It is going to be on the south side.
Oh.
I don't remember the street it's going to be on, but they bought a warehouse down there, and they're actually going to be putting a brew pub and brewery there. And they said that they are going to be brewing some Pittsburgh-only beers.
Oh, okay.
Here on this side of the state. So, yes, some
Nice.
exclusive beers for the great city of Pittsburgh, which I thought was pretty neat because you guys talked about Platform on a previous episode, I think just last week. And they're coming down from Cleveland to drop a brew house in Pittsburgh. And what's interesting to me is that Southern Tier did that, and now we're starting to see other breweries that are, you know, more regionally or nationally known come to Pittsburgh and put brew pubs here, whereas we still have a plethora of our own, you know, local microbreweries, which is just interesting. Everybody wants to get in on the Pittsburgh beer scene. It's pretty incredible.
Neat.
Agreed. It is neat.
Neat. All right, so should we get back to the F.O.C.Less monster, Adam? Have you started to enjoy it anymore?
No.
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 Why am I not surprised?
I powered through that. I'm not going to leave this beer behind. It's just not for me. It's not my style. I'm not saying it's a bad beer. It's just not a good beer for me.
Okay. I will go second in saying that I think it's fine. I'm not super impressed. I don't get the hype. I'm not on the hype beast train.
This beer was hyped?
Well, the brewery in general is hype.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, it's pretty hyped. I mean, a lot of people know about Fat Orange Cat. It's not one of the premier New England breweries that everybody seeks out, but it's definitely noteworthy.
Okay.
It's so big enough that it's garnered distribution to Pittsburgh and Ohio.
That
so.
says it all.
Yeah.
That says it all right there.
So even for me, this is the only Fat Orange Cat beer that I've had, and I like it just fine, just like Steve. It is good enough that I will want to try more from Fat Orange Cat. I think it's a good beer. I think it's balanced. I like the taste. I enjoy drinking it. It's not my favorite New England style IPA I've ever had, not by a long shot, but it's good enough to pique my interest and want a little bit more and see what else they're putting out.
Right on.
there you go.
Well, if you can't find it in Pittsburgh, you can also jump the border just over to Vintage Estates in Ohio, and I saw a bunch over there as well. So,
Or go to the state of Boston.
or go to Boston.
Stop
by and have some Wahlburgers.
Well, you can actually have that here in Pittsburgh.
I know, but if you're in Boston, you want to get some Dunkin' Donuts. You get some Truly. You load up on that, and then you get some Woodchuck hot cider or whatever it is. No, they do Angry Orchard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Sox.
I couldn't remember. You say go Sox, and you get some Harpoon, and you have some Wahlburgers.
Harpoon does cider.
Say hey to your mother for me.
Say hey to your mother for me, kid.
Boston Red Sox, World Series champions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Patriots might win it again this year. They're in
cares?
the Super Bowl.
They could.
Boston, big sports city. Anywho, they're also a big beer city. And when we come back, we are going to try some more beer out of the great state or Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Stay tuned.
Check this out. There's a Seattle company called Tavour that enables discovery of new and exciting beers and breweries. Tavour gets the best independent beer from literally around the world. Denmark, Belgium, New Zealand, and of course everywhere in the US. The app is incredibly simple to use to get some ridiculously good beers delivered right to your door. And right now, anyone who signs up with the code HOPNATION can save $10 off any order of over $25. That's TAVOUR.com, Tavour.
Welcome back, Hop Nation. We are here and ready to drink a little more beer. Alrighty, so as you may know from listening to the first segment, our theme of the day is New England style IPAs from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So without further ado, I will let Steve introduce the second beer of the episode for us. So Steve, what will we be consuming next?
Yeah, you got it, kid. Coming up next, we got the Consolation Prize from the Lord Hobo Brewing Company.
Lord Hobo, all right.
Out of Woburn, Massachusetts.
You feel good about yourself?
I do.
That's quite the accent you got going on there. It's very thick.
A very thick accent. We had this discussion last week. I'm not giving up the Canada accent. I'm not giving up the Wisconsin accent.
And now you're not giving up the Boston accent.
Not when I get the choice. So Lord Hobo,
It's either that or the RAV4.
that's right. You know those Averys are a bunch of no good nicks. I saw that Earl. He was at the state fair and he punched a pony.
Punched a pony. We've all been there. I can't hate.
Well, I've been to a state fair. I've never punched a pony. Have you
Tried
punched a
sometime.
pony?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Maybe I've thought about punching a pony, but I've never actually done it.
I noogied a sheep.
Weird.
Well, that's okay.
It's a weird hill to climb.
Sheep's probably going to slaughter at some point anyhow.
Right. It bit me. I decided to bully it. Moving on.
The goats. The goats were the worst. Remember in the Hookstown Fair petting zoo?
Oh, there's shit
Those
everywhere.
goats, they would poop everywhere. They'd always be, as soon as they saw you giving food to another animal,
They just
they'd
run
be
up.
right up on your
Oh, that
ass.
sounds about right.
Yeah, you try to feed a bunny or a chicken or a goat.
Oh, no.
Or a
There's
duck
the goat
or a duck.
right there.
There's the goat. Like, where's mine? Like, fuck off, dude. Ain't about you.
Trying to bite your fingers, grabbing onto your t-shirt, pulling on that, trying to eat that. Forget
Ain't about you and your weird square eyes and your devil horns. Move it along, ugly thing.
It's just bad manners.
Yeah.
Yeah, silly goats. All right, let's get back to Lord Hobo. This is a DIPA that I want to enjoy here very soon. So,
Yeah, anyway, the Consolation prize, it's a DIPA, like you just said. It's a full-body double IPA. It glows a magnificent hazy orange. It's got a heavily dry hopped there with a Jarillo, Azaka, and Mosaic hops. You know, supposed to taste notes of pineapple and mango and honeydew. I don't know how you get that because honeydew, that's a weak-ass fruit.
well, we got to try the beer to see if we can pick out the honeydew flavor.
I know, this is just what they're saying. I think those are some pretty bold claims, kid. And then you got saying it's made with a Pilsner malt backbone. So we'll see about that. But here we
I don't
go.
usually like them Pilsners. Might be called Consolation Prize, but the can tells us that this is always a winner.
You know what I'm thinking? You know, this is the beer that they should give out to the Rams, you know, when Brady wins another ring. Am I right?
Oh man,
I don't want to talk about that right now.
you can't make this shit up.
Did you see the article, though, that Bud Light's going to give beer to whichever city wins?
Yeah, wasn't that through Golden Road?
Well, no, it's
Why
just
are
going
they
to be
doing
Bud
that?
Light.
Ugh.
No, it's just a
Just as a
promotion.
congratulations?
Yeah, just a promotion, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, oh, wow, thanks.
Great.
In the great state of Massachusetts, they're giving out Bud Light.
Yeah.
There is beer aplenty there, and
Or-
really good nationally known beer.
Yeah, or Los Angeles,
yeah, true.
which is also full of its own good beer.
exactly. Oh, they got Monkish there.
Yeah.
which is one I've never had. In Russian River.
And they have everything that's in San Diego as well.
I
There's
cannot
some
wait
Stone.
for the Chargers to go back to San Diego where they belong. Damn it. They don't belong in LA. Don't give me this horse shit about, oh, they were there for the first year back in the 60s. No, I don't care. They belong in San Diego.
So then LA will go back to having no teams.
Yes.
The Rams will go
Right.
back to St. Louis.
Well, actually, I have no problem
What
with.
are they going to go back to LA?
No, I have no problem with the Rams being in LA.
Okay.
I seriously have
You
no
just don't
problem
care.
with that.
You don't care one way or the other about the Rams.
I mean, the Rams, that's where they originated from, was
Okay.
in LA.
Okay. Whatever.
They're
I
back
don't
where
care.
they belong, I guess. All right, let's try this beer, please.
I don't care. I don't give a shit about football, really. So moving on to the beer. This one is less hazy than the last one, but
It
still
really
kind of
is.
hazy.
It's kind of hazy, but there's much more clarity to it. I mean,
Yeah.
you could almost, if you look really hard and squint, you could almost see through it.
Oh, I totally can.
I can see my finger.
Yeah, and if you look at the writing on the other side of the taster,
Yeah.
you can read it. Yeah, this is definitely not a full haze, a full milkshake.
Right. Well, to be fair, this one is marketed as just a double India Pale Ale, not as any kind of thing like the milkshake or anything.
Right.
It's a DIPA that happens to come from Woburn, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Does have a nice orange color to it again.
It's a very picturesque beer.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
It looks nice enough.
Now, on the nose, you're getting a lot more maltiness, and it smells a little more boozy to me. ABV is up, what, about $1.50?
It's going to be 9.5.
9.5, so the last
Yeah.
one was 8.
Yeah, so this one's 9.5, and again, in true tradition of a double IPA, it's going to have more malt to it.
Yep.
Makes sense.
IBUs are supposed to be 70,
Okay.
so that may or may not play into it because, again, when you get in the DIPAs, they tend to be more malty, even though their bitterness is higher, because it actually balances well.
Right.
All
So-
right. Well, I'd like to try it.
Me too.
Please.
I like this one. Adam doesn't like this one, but I like this one.
I can tell why Adam doesn't like this one.
And why is that, Sam?
This one does have that resiny feel that kind of starts up front. It rolls down your tongue, but it sticks to your palate along the way, and you can taste it. The full sip, and then afterwards, it's really lingering around, which I know Adam is not enjoying, but I'm enjoying it. I think it's really good.
Honestly, I find the back end to finish quicker than the Fat Orange Cat did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's finishing a lot quicker.
Interesting.
But I do still get
I'm
that
getting the
resonance
exact
back end,
opposite sensation.
and I'm getting a lot of upfront bitterness as well. But Adam, what do we have from you?
This one to me is more bitter.
No, I'm saying I think it is more bitter, but I don't think the back end is as bad as the Fat Orange Cat.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's more balanced in terms of bitterness.
So, and that was part of my problem with this beer, is that on the first, I'd say third of the sip, everything was fine. Everything was balanced. Everything was hunky dory.
Smooth and fruity. Up
Yeah,
front, yep.
yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, all right. I might be. Oh, never mind.
Oh no.
They pulled the carpet out from underneath me, and then it just went to that nasty aftertaste that I am not a particular fan of. It's not their fault. It's what the people want.
I want it.
Yeah, I'll take some too.
It's interesting because it's also, again, it doesn't fall into that New England style, traditional hazy milkshake, because it's not creamy or smooth in that way. I find it just like smooth and clean. It's just like really clean to me.
I understand where you're coming with the smoothness.
Yeah.
Cleanliness. I'm not picking that up.
So yeah, well, I mean, I get it more on the first third, like you were talking about. But
Right.
it's like that.
Where everything's okay. We're still in the Shire.
Yeah, that's real nice. And then it goes 2 towers.
So for those wondering, you cannot buy Lord Hobo in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, they haven't started distributing here yet. But if you cross the border,
Vintage
quick
Estates.
jaunt into Ohio, you can find it at Vintage Estates, which is where we actually got this beer.
Yeah, that's also how I know Fat Orange Cat is distributed there.
There you go. All your Vintage Estate news, straight from Esteban.
Yeah, I'll keep you up to date on Vintage Estate.
Vintage Estate, up to date.
Up to date.
So while Steve keeps us up to date on the news from Vintage Estates while we enjoy our consolation prize here, how would you guys like to learn a little bit about how the New England style IPA originated?
I would like that very much.
Would you?
That sounds wicked awesome, kid.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to tell you guys. So I'm going to take you on a little trip back in time here, and we're going to go all the way back to the mid-90s, where Green Day was popular, the first Jurassic Park movie had just come out, everybody was singing that Inside Out song by Eve 6. Things like that were going on in the mid-90s, right?
Sure.
Oh, they were. But what else was going on in the mid-90s was that two gentlemen, one by the name of John Kimmich and the other one by the name of Greg Noonan, started to brew their IPAs a little bit differently. So Greg Noonan was owner and brewer. I believe he was the owner. I know he's the brewer at the Vermont Pub and Brewery in Vermont, obviously.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
hopefully.
Hopefully it was in Vermont.
The Vermont Pub and Brewery in Nebraska.
So these two, they started to become somewhat known as untraditional brewers, because up until that point, IPAs always had a distinct clarity to them. You could see through them. They were traditionally known for that hoppy, resin, piney flavor. And these guys wanted to go off kilter a little bit and start brewing something a little bit different. So they started making these new beers, and the focus was not to make them hazy by any stretch of the imagination, but it was, how do we get more and varying flavors in our IPAs by using untraditional brewing methods? So they started experimenting around with these new recipes. And the thing about it was, you could only find these new recipes or these new styles in the Vermont brew pubs. So they didn't actually gain a lot of traction. And most people didn't even know that they existed or that they were being worked on. Now, let's fast forward a little bit, about 15 years, and maybe not 15 years, maybe about 10 years, and head into 2003. So John Kimmich, one of the brewers, actually broke off and he started his own brewery. And that brewery, some of you may have heard of, it's called the Alchemist, which is in upstate Vermont. And it's a very, very popular brewery. And they started brewing a beer called Heady Topper. Now, Heady Topper is known as the original New England style IPA. And they started brewing it at the brew pub in 2003. Once again, it
Really?
Yeah, in 2003.
Oh, I had 2004.
Oh,
So you were close.
sorry.
But what was interesting
I still might be right.
is that you may be. All right, so, 2003,
that area.
2004 era.
Usher was
right?
still popular.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Usher, so was Nelly. Nelly was popular in 2003,
Yeah.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah.
You fast forward us to the time of country grammar.
There we go.
Continue.
All right, so now we're listening to Nelly and not Eve 6 and Green Day anymore. Well, we're still listening to Green Day. Eve 6 is probably phased out by 2003. All right, so John wanted to just build or brew an insanely flavorful beer, but it wasn't, again, that he wanted it to be hazy. He wanted to brew a beer that smelled and tasted like really great weed.
Okay.
And that was
All right.
his inspiration for Heady Topper.
Sounds like also the inspiration for Nugget Nectar,
It very well may be.
which I had some last night.
Very nice.
Oh, Nugget
Get it while you
Nectar
can.
is so good. Love that beer. But haze wasn't the goal. It's essentially a byproduct. So this went on for about 8 years until 2011, where Heady Topper actually started canning their beer and then distributing it across the United States.
So we're up to Drake now.
Was Drake around 2011?
I think so.
He was
We
still up in
started- we-
Canada. And
Yeah,
Vermont,
was
I guess,
he
touches
still
Canada.
Aubrey in the wheelchair, or was
Wait,
he
was
act-
Degrassi still on in
I don't
2011?
know. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you just want to go with Rihanna then?
Sure. We can go Rihanna.
Let's go Rihanna.
Or we can go Beyonce. Beyonce.
Gosh.
Anyway,
All right.
What? This is a good frame of reference for people.
That
right?
is true. So back to the history. Where are we? We're in
Beyonce.
2011.
Yeah.
All right. So before this, like I was saying, the Alchemist, they really wanted to just, sell this beer locally and bring people in and make it a brew pub only beer. But in 2011, they started canning and then they started distributing the beer. Now, it was just around Vermont, but what was interesting around the same time is when we really started to see the boom in social media. So, you had MySpace probably phasing out at that point, Facebook really coming into existence. Not that it wasn't before, but it was really gaining a lot of popularity.
Well, yeah.
Instagram,
I'm trying to think.
started up shortly after.
By that time,
Twitter, I
let's
think, was
see.
around that time.
Well, let me give you a little. I believe MySpace was kind of finished up around 2010. Facebook had already moved off of the original platform where you had to be a college
right.
student.
That was
Yes.
2006, 2007.
yeah,
I think
was gonna
that
say,
happened.
That was
Yeah, so you could
that
be a
was out
public.
for a couple years.
Yeah.
Twitter
and then-
came out in 2008.
And iPhones had also come out 2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when you really started to get the social media boom.
Right. And one of the interesting things about this beer is that's how it really gained so much popularity is people started posting about it on social media and they were like, wow, what is this beer? And, it went so far away from the traditional West Coast IPAs, which are known for being, much more bitter, have that piney, grassy flavor, pine coney flavor, many flavors of grapefruit, things like that. And that is what started to bring some notoriety and recognition to these beers, even though they were really still only brewed right there in Vermont and distributed, locally in the Vermont area. Long story short, we'll fast forward a little bit, but, not only did patrons of the bar start catching on, but other brewers started taking note that this style was becoming more and more popular. So they wanted to get in on that. And that's where you have, your Trilliums and your Treehouses. They were really the next two big breweries that started to do this. And not that they were looking to copy that style exactly, but they wanted to take it and kind of make it their own. So, looking at flavors like guava and melon and mango and orange marmalade. And what was interesting about these beers is, and I think this is why you might gravitate more to this style of IPA, Adam, is because what happens is, with the haze in the beer, there's more suspended solids or hop particles, kind of floating around in there. There's still some yeast that's, gnawing on some of those sugars. And what that does is it generally gives the beer kind of a softer texture, which makes it a bit more palatable.
Very much so.
Also, I would also probably say, because a lot of more of these beers are dry hopped.
Yes.
Is what Adam likes, because they impart more flavor on the back end, and it's less harsh, and it's much more of a aroma that's given off, rather than the crazy IBUs you get from throwing all that shit in the boil.
Right. The aroma is not the problem.
No, not at all.
I actually can enjoy a beer that smells very aromatic in that way. Also, follow-up, 2011, I'm going to go with Carly J. Respin.
Sure.
Carly Rae
Was
Jespin.
that the Call Me Maybe Girl?
Yeah, that was 2011. It's either that or LMFAO.
That one might be more
Yeah.
appropriate.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
LMFAO.
Party rock anthem. So it's funny you bring up about the dry hopping, Esteban, because one of the interesting things about these beers is that if you ask somebody that's trying the beer and they're like, well, do you know what makes these beers hazy, or what makes them look like that? And a lot of people just say, oh, it's because they're unfiltered. And while
That's part of it.
while that may be true, that's not the only reason. So like I mentioned before, one of the primary reasons you see a lot of this haze in this beer is because of the yeast that's used. So, the process of kind of yeast chomping or gnawing on the sugars in beer is called flocculation, and it generally, once the yeast eats all the sugar, it kind of falls to the bottom, of your brew bucket or your wort,
the fermented
and
wort.
That's what gives you that nasty diarrhea looking shit at the bottom of your fermentation tank.
Yep.
But this,
which is usually filtered out.
Right.
Yep. But a less flocculent yeast strain will actually hang around a little bit more, and it'll become suspended within the beer, and that's what can give it some of that hazy look to it.
Yeah. And there's other things in there, like you said. There's also, because a lot of these beers go unfiltered, you also get grain particles.
Yep.
You get a little bit of the grist. You get some proteins that are left over. You get actual hop pieces.
Yep.
A lot of these times, the lactose will be in there. And if they're using cryo hops, all that powder is just suspended and not filtered out either. So
Yeah, exactly. There's a
the
lot of things that could contribute to that.
yeah,
The
haziness.
technical term you're looking for is schmutz.
Yes, there's a lot of schmutz in
There's a
these.
lot of schmutz in there.
And what's interesting nowadays, at least with a lot of the beers that I'm drinking, if they're really true to the style, once you finish up that beer, you'll actually find some of that just sitting in the bottom of your glass.
Yeah.
And that's how you know you have a great New England style IPA.
Usually the last pour of a can, it can be really bad sometimes.
Yep.
Of just looks like an emptying a used carboy. I'm not a big fan of that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I don't drink it. I just kind of dump in the sink and rinse out
Seems
my
like
glass.
personal preference, seems like a bit of a waste. I'd prefer if, you do a little extra work and try to get some of that shit out of there.
Right.
Yeah, but see, then you're going to lose some of the flavor if you filter all that out of there.
I'm all right with that.
I might be okay sacrificing it.
That's
I'm getting plenty of flavor on the beer we're drinking right now, and it seems nice and clean, and I haven't seen any shit come pouring out of the can yet. So yeah.
So yeah, we got the yeast, everything you just named, potential lactose, things like that. The dry hopping, which is kind of adding those hops later in the beer brewing process. And I did find some information too, actually, on the malts themselves. So usually brewers kind of use that base of malted barley, but other grains like oats and wheats might have like a higher protein content to it,
right?
And they'll give the beer a cloudier appearance. So there's actually more than just the filtering that goes into making these beers look the way they do, which I think is pretty interesting, honestly.
Well, I mean, all of the stuff you named could be filtered out.
Right.
Yes, it very well could be, but
they
it's
could
not.
all be filtered out. If you're a home brewer, pretty much all of your beers look like a New England IPA because most of us don't have filtering equipment. But yeah, a lot of that stuff could all be filtered out.
Loving this style so much and drinking these beers and seeing so many breweries in Pittsburgh do this style so well, it just makes me want Heady Topper more and more. I've never had it. Have either of you guys ever tried it?
No.
No. And honestly, even reading interviews with Kimmich, he doesn't seem like he doesn't quite get why his beer is so popular. He thinks he just made a really well-made beer, and he just continues to make it the same way. He doesn't change recipes like a lot of breweries do once they get a popular beer. And from what I was reading, he's just saying it's a very simple base malt with 6 different kinds of hops in it. You know,
Yeah.
And he just does it well the same way every time.
People rave about that though, and it's kind of cool. Like that is the true pioneer of the style.
It's the true pioneer of the style, and I think it's probably comparable to, like, if you're a film student, you kind of have to watch Citizen Kane and The Godfather. Like, you have to watch these films. I can't. Like I said, I've never had Heady Topper before, so I can't say if it's better than everything. But it has that pedigree, and it has, you know, the staying power, obviously.
It's the gold standard.
Right, because it's been around since 2004, and people still talk about it today. So, yeah, it may not necessarily be better, but I think a lot of hype propels it. And maybe people kind of convince themselves that it's better.
That's very true too.
It's possible.
Because, I mean, it's so sought after on social media. And anytime anybody's drinking a Heady Topper, oh, I got to post this beer. You got to try this beer, the Heady Topper. It's like, well, dude, send me some.
Yeah.
How the hell am I supposed to get that? I'm not up in Vermont.
It's just kind of hard for me to tell without having the beer. It's hard to tell. Is it like The Godfather, where The Godfather is a real technical masterpiece as well as a really well-made film? Or is it like the Boondock Saints, where people just talked about it a whole bunch and had posters up in their wall in their dorms
While they were listening to Usher.
Right. You know, it's a toss-up. But, you know, hopefully one day I'll figure that mystery out for myself.
It would be nice just to have it. I bet, you know, Dancing Gnome here in Pittsburgh, some of their best beers, I bet, could rival, if not surpass, that beer. But it's the history of it. It's what it is and what it means to the style that makes it so intriguing to me.
Yeah, there's a good chance I might just like, you know, Southern Tier Thick Mint better than it.
Right.
You know, just because I love pastry stouts like a fatty fat.
Can't hate.
Right.
Can't hate.
But, you know, still want to find out, want to try.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
So that's a little bit about that style. Hopefully you guys got a little educated in that segment.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I now know more than what I did at the beginning of the segment.
And for that, Adam, you get a consolation prize.
I did.
Has Adam been edutained?
I was edutained.
All right. Well, then enjoy your consolation prize.
Edutained to the max.
Nice.
Yeah, the consolation prize. I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
As expected with this episode.
Right. Not breaking new ground.
Go ahead, Sam.
Now, I definitely like this beer, that's for sure. Definitely more malty. To me, a little more resiny than the resiny-y.
Resinous?
Resinous?
Resinous.
That's the right word.
Resinous.
Resinous. That's the word I was looking for. Then the first one, definitely a little more boozier. This does not appear to be a traditional New England style IPA out of the Boston area, but at the same time, it's still a really good double IPA from a great Boston brewery. So, you know, I like it. It's unique. It's different than the first beer, but overall, I find it pretty balanced and very palatable.
Agree. I really like this beer. And the more I drank it, the bitterness and the resinous actually just kind of cut a little bit more. Like it didn't seem to have as much of a punch the more I drank it. So I started to really enjoy it. It just has a really nice fruity flavor without being overpoweringly citrusy. Like, I'm not getting a whole lot of like grapefruit in there, which I don't love grapefruit in my IPAs a lot of the time. I get a little tired of the oranges, but you know, this is pretty good. I like it a lot.
All right, then.
Yes.
So what do you say we go to a quick commercial break, come right back, get the third beer locked and loaded?
Yes.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
Hi, this is Two Girls on a Bench.
The podcast. So we're two writers who tend to procrastinate just a bit.
We like to snack. We like to talk.
We don't have time to write, but we have time to do this podcast.
We certainly do. Join us on the bench.
Listen in.
At number 2 Girls on a Bench.
All right, Hop Nation, we are back in Bean Town. Eating some beans. Watching the Sox.
I feel like
I gotta learn how to do accents. They all suck. You gotta teach me, Esteban. Show me your ways.
I feel like your characterizations of Boston people ain't so great. We gotta eat beans.
Well, it's called Beantown, so you eat beans. Green beans, baked beans, pork and beans,
Baked
pinto
beans.
beans. All kinds of beans.
Navy beans, garbanzo beans.
I think that's about it.
I think that's all I know.
What about the refried kind?
Those are good too.
Those are good beans. All right, so we can't root for the Red Sox. They're done. They already won. The Patriots, we can't root for them for at least 2 weeks because the Super Bowl's not till then.
Or
well,
ever.
I guess if you're listening to this on a
Or ever.
Friday on release day, it's 1 week approximately.
Or you can just not root for them ever.
And the Celtics and the Bruins, are they any good this year? I don't know. I think the Celtics are okay. They got
Yeah, and I
Kyrie
think
Irving.
the Bruins are in a playoff spot right now.
Are they? Okay, so you can
Yeah,
root for
the Bruins are doing okay.
Does Kevin Garnett still play for the Celtics?
He does not.
them. No.
Okay.
They have Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward.
I don't watch basketball.
I think they have Al Horford now, too.
Who?
Maybe they already had him.
What'd you call him?
Al Horford?
Why'd you call him a whore?
Wasn't that
That's
his name?
not nice.
I don't know.
I
don't
he's
know.
a pretty good ball player.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really follow the NBA. LeBron James is hurt right now. What am I supposed to watch?
Like on the inside or?
Oh, he's not playing.
If that guy gets a promotional deal with a truck company, though, he could be Ford Horford. Wow. Open the next beer. Fuck
All
you.
right, so Adam, why don't you introduce the next beer and give this one the proper setup, because this is well, I guess these are all brand new breweries to the show, but this is a big deal here, at least for probably some of the people that listen that have always wanted to try some of this stuff. Set it up properly, please.
Thanks. Thanks for teeing that one up for me, Sam.
I'm trying my best. I just want to make sure you give this beer its due.
He's got to pontificate. I'll give him this one. He's got to pontificate for this brewery.
He does.
Because we did give you this beer to introduce, and it's way not what you would pontificate about.
No. I'm just gonna play it straight.
Yeah.
So the next beer that we have here for our drinking entertainment, I can't say pleasure because I don't know what this beer is like yet.
Right.
This comes from Treehouse Brewing.
Treehouse has made it to the show before episode 100. Woo!
Was that supposed to be like a DJ hype horn?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You should just add that in.
I might.
Okay.
Chinchilla. Wah, wah, wah.
What?
Apparently, that's what chinchillas sound like.
No, it's from that, what's the Chris Parnell insurance commercial? Not State Farm.
Progressive?
Progressive, yeah, with the box. The Progressive
Sorry, I'm
box.
a cord cutter. I don't watch commercials.
And they had the chinchilla, and they made that sound.
So the
Adam
next
really
beer
watches
that we have is, you know what? I'm not gonna do it.
Do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
Just
Okay.
say the name, and then tell us how many letters are in the first word, so people know what we're drinking.
It's the Triple Fawns TE Triple Pirate Ego. It's the Alter Ego.
There you go.
You did.
Not to be confused with the alter ego.
Yeah, I was
which
looking
only
that
has
up, and
One
that-
A, whereas this one has 3 A's
And 3 R's.
and 3 R's.
Yeah,
It's pretty much a pirate beer.
Sam,
Pirate is in the treehouse.
do you know what a pirate's favorite letter is?
Arr.
No, it be the C.
Actually, you're wrong. It's the P. Because without it, he'd be irate.
Ha. I like mine better.
God. Man, we were really stringing this along.
Anyways, the beer
Are we
clock's
ever going
in.
to get to this treehouse beer? Treehouse.
No, you got to
guys.
tease the audience.
Treehouse.
All right, now I'm just teasing
Tug,
Sam.
you tug them a little bit, and then they're like, oh, and then you let it go.
At 6.8%,
Edging. Get into it, kids.
I don't want to know what your Instagram looks like.
It's gross.
No idea what the IBUs are. I
Okay.
don't really care.
Okay.
This comes from, of course, Treehouse Brewing. They're out of Massachusetts somewhere. The Great Common.
Charlton,
Charlton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
which is about 45 minutes or so west of Boston.
What the hell accent was that?
That was my Boston accent.
His Boston accent stinks. That's
Pour
the
the beer, please.
That's the one thing I like about having Sam on the show is his accent stinks so bad. Mine are awesome. Like, I don't think mine are good, but man, does he make mine sound great.
I can't do accents. I can't do voices. I can't do accents.
Don't
I talk
change.
in one voice.
Yeah.
Don't change.
Just let it
It
ride.
makes me look better.
Yeah. I'm going to crack this beer open.
I couldn't change if I wanted to, Steve.
Oh no, I spilled it all over the floor. We can't have any.
Oh,
I got more in
no.
my house. So while Adam's pouring that, Treehouse beer you can definitely not get here in Pittsburgh. The only place you can actually get it is the brewery in Charlton. So if you want it, you got to go to Charlton, or you got to have some really nice friends that go to Charlton and bring you shit back.
yeah. I don't want to say you can't get it in Pittsburgh, but you have to have mules that are willing to bring it back for you.
Wait, this didn't come, through some guy's intestine in a condom, did it?
Not that kind of mule.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, probably not that kind of mule. I guess you can technically order it on eBay.
Yeah, beer muling is a lot less gross
Thank goodness for
than the
that.
cocaine.
So we have officially poured the beers. What the hell's the name of this one again?
This is the
Alter Ego.
Alter Ego.
3 A's, 3 R's. And this one, I would say, is hands down the haziest of the beers.
This is juice.
Yes.
This is the orange juice.
This is pulpless juice, though.
Pulpless?
Yeah, it's not that thick.
No,
Right.
it's not.
I just want to point out it's juice. It's completely opaque.
I would say it's more of like a pineapple juice.
Yeah, yeah, pineapple.
good way to put it.
Pineapple juice doesn't have a lot of pulp in it either. Yeah,
Fair.
so yeah.
On the nose,
Ooh, jeepers creepers. That's a lot of citrus nose.
smells like old
Oh,
meat.
yeah.
Smells like old meat.
Oh, give me a break. What do you washing your hands with between segments here, Adam? What are you cutting steaks back there raw?
Did you make yourself a pastrami sandwich while you were on break? What did you do?
It smells nothing like meat.
Anybody else picking up
People are
horseradish?
going to crucify you on Instagram for saying that. Horseradish and old meat. Treehouse? Give me a fucking break.
I get whole grains and aioli mustard. Yeah, no, it's just all juice and tropical notes. That's all it is on the nose.
And I feel like Treehouse and Trillium of two of the Boston breweries that are doing this style. I mean, they've taken it from, the Alchemist in Vermont, and they've really accentuated this style. And this is what you get. Big, bold, citrusy noses on very juicy beers.
Okay.
And that's why people love them.
We'll find out after this break. No, kidding. We'll drink it now.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that of these 3 beers, this has to be the one that Adam likes the best.
That's a pretty low bar there, Sam.
It might be.
Considering he
Am I
outright
wrong? Am I wrong?
said, considering he outright said he didn't like the other two.
Right.
I know, but he hadn't tried this one, so maybe he actually liked it less when I think he's going to like it more.
So this has definitely gone from stick in the eye to pebble in the shoe.
Pebble in the shoe. Oh, Treehouse fans, if you're listening, just disregard this. Cover your ears, please.
Actually, I don't care for it that much either. As the voice of reason, it's honestly not that good. I don't love it. I've had a lot more beers from places like Dancing Gnome and other places like ACB. Mm-hmm. I like they make them a lot softer, a lot pillowier. There's something off with this one that I don't quite enjoy at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Sam, what
interesting.
are your thoughts on the beer?
It might be grapefruit notes that I'm getting.
There is a
Maybe.
bit of
There
that.
definitely is. See, I like this beer not because it's the hoppiest beer, not because it's the most flavorful beer, but because it's a refreshing beer. It's clean. It's got some great citrus notes, and I like grapefruit notes, so I don't mind them at all. And it finishes really, really well. I don't mind the hop resin hanging around in the back of my throat, but this one, I don't get that. This finishes almost like an actual juice, and that's what I enjoy about it. So I'm liking it.
Yeah, I will say it does have, of the 3 beers we've had tonight, it has the least resinous and least bitter flavor on the back end. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like they're the grapefruit flavor. I really hate grapefruit, so I just
So again, it goes back to it may not necessarily be a poorly crafted beer.
right.
It's just not to your particular tastes.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had other ones that have the taste that don't have grapefruit, and maybe there's other beers by Treehouse, like the Julius or the Julius or whatever.
Right.
The King Julius, I hear, is the premier DIPA. Never had it, but I'd like to. Man, there's a lot of beers I want to try that I just can't get. Help me out, fellow listeners. I've come back to this show for one reason and one reason only, to plead
beg.
my case and beg you.
Sam, you're a
for some of
grown-ass
these
man.
beers. Please, help me.
I think Sam's begged for more beers this episode than we have. Let's see, you begged for Pseudo Sue. You're begging for Treehouse. What did you beg for in the
we
first
begged
segment?
for 450 North.
Yeah, 450 North, and you also begged for
The Heady
Topper.
Topper.
So yeah.
Four beers.
Yeah, that's still more than we've begged for in
Yeah,
one.
the,
Right.
the episode's not over, Steve. I haven't even got into Trillium yet, which is my all-time favorite. Best beer I've ever had in my life.
That's cool. All right, guys. So for segment 3, I figured we could do something a little fun.
Yes.
As it is segment 3, and segment 3 is always the fun segment.
Mm-hmm.
We've already learned about New England IPAs. We've had our news and notes in neat. So
It's time for.
It's time for a segment I don't have a name for. But we did it before.
Yes.
So in the past, and I believe it was only just you and me, Adam. I don't remember anybody else on this episode, but in the past we decided to create our own craft beer themed video game.
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe we did a JRPG in which you had to raid dungeons and steal your ingredients.
Yes.
And bring it back and become the most popular brew pub in the fantasy land. It was a pretty good idea, I thought.
Yeah, I think we should chop that around.
Yeah. But I saw the trailer for Mortal Kombat 11.
Did you see with that shitty ass mumble rap music?
No, this is new.
New.
That mumble rap trailer is garbage compared to
Good.
They did a big reveal event in last week.
Okay.
And they revealed a bunch of new characters. They revealed that Ronda Rousey is now playing Sonya Blade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
In
right.
the video game?
Yeah, in the video game.
Really?
Yeah, it's Ronda Rousey's voice, and it looks a little bit like her too.
Really? That's
Yeah.
interesting. Not
And-
surprised to hear that, though.
Yeah, and then they revealed a whole bunch of violence. And
Oh, okay.
I don't understand how this game has been around since 1993, I think.
If not a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think they're maybe up to 13 games now, something like that.
Damn.
And somehow they still are innovating. Like,
How are we going to mutilate bodies this time?
yeah, even though it's technically Mortal Kombat 11, I think they're discounting one of the. I don't know.
There was like a Revolutions or Generations or something like that in there.
Right, there's also like the Sub-Zero one that was released that was like a platformer that was on PlayStation, so they don't count that. But yeah, these games are insane. But they got me pumped for video games again. I don't usually get pumped for video games, but this one got me pumped. And so I was thinking maybe we should revisit and craft another craft beer video game.
Okay.
Because we need to start getting in on all this money.
Yes.
All this video game money. And we can release one before E3 maybe.
2020.
Wasn't one
Sure.
of the original Nintendo games about craft beer? Maybe not craft beer, but it was about a bartender that
You
was
are-
going from tap to tap.
You're
What was
thinking
that
of-
called? Tapped?
It's called Root Beer Tapper.
Root beer tapper.
That's what you're
Oh,
thinking
it was
of.
root beer. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they had
I was gonna say, I know I played that. That was years ago.
yeah,
That's
it-
probably in the late 80s that came out.
Oh yeah, and it might have just been called Tapper in the arcades. And so like it was maybe originally supposed to be beer because it was like an old West saloon, and you're sliding beer down a bar. And then I think maybe when it transitioned to Nintendo, they might have just called it Root Beer Tapper, so you didn't.
For the youths.
Yeah, for the use, so they didn't think you was serving beer. They didn't want to promote
okay.
alcohol, but yeah. So, does anybody have any ideas for a possible video game centered around craft beer?
So let's go
keep in mind, let's not do a JRPG again.
Yes, I'm going to give another isolation here. Let's not do a driving simulator.
Oh yeah, I think we called that one out last time. Yeah, we're not doing driving games. We're not doing Gran Turismo.
No. No.
I mean, I have an idea, but I just wanted to see if you guys had anything to throw out.
The only other thing I can think of is a takeoff of NFL Blitz.
Okay.
NFL Blitzed.
Uh,
That's all the further I got.
Okay, that's fine. I was just going to say, I don't think we're going to get the licensing to the NFL for that.
No, that's fine.
So it'll have to be some sort of mutant league football kind of
Yeah, that's fine.
workaround.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I like to drink beer and play NFL Blitz on Nintendo 64, so that's always fun.
Okay.
All right, segment over.
All right. Well, I had an idea, and it kind of came to mind. I was trying to craft something around Mortal Kombat. I'll be
Makes
honest.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up on the show.
I feel like Mortal Kombat is on your brain right now.
Yeah, because Mortal Kombat's on my brain, and it's going to be that way until I can get it in April. But I had an idea. I since I couldn't really figure out a good fighting game, I did think of something else.
That being?
Pokemon.
Oh.
And I also thought about this because of the beer trading culture that's out there.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So this is an app-based game.
Yeah, it could be app-based game, and generally that's where you can get a lot of revenue from. You know, you can get a lot of revenue from the whales on the app, on the App Store.
Microtransactions.
Yeah, with microtransactions and such. I think we need to create a Pokemon-style game where you trade styles and you have styles battle.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Styles are battling.
Yeah, you're going back and forth to like brewer. You know, it might even be like a home brewer centered game.
So instead of like the Pokemon gym,
Yeah,
you go to the homebrew store?
you go to the home brew store. Right.
I like that.
You gotta buy cleaner materials. You gotta buy better ingredients. Yeah.
Ooh, so this is interesting. So now I'm thinking back to some of those old wrestling games that I played, those WWE games where you created your own character and then you had to work your way up through the ranks. So maybe you start as a home brewer and you actually have to kind of build your brewery or make your beer, and then you get to compete in competitions with some of the other brewers. So you start with some local homebrew competitions, and if you win those, you get to move on to, you know, state competitions, and eventually maybe work your way up to like Great American Beer Fest or something like that.
And just the same way, you know, it works with Pokemon. You got to start at small gyms and you got to battle things in the wild.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like this idea. This sounds like something I would actually play, and I don't play too many video games.
Where you can
these
actually,
days.
instead of going to a battle, you could just have a tap off where you put your beer on tap next to somebody else's beer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, somehow...
That could work as like a fun Mario Party style mini game where you have to serve as many people as you can in a certain amount of time, and then the winner gets a bonus of whatever, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's some sort of system where, depending on what style of beer that you choose, that dictates, you know, how many beers you can serve versus how much they cost, and, you know, how much money you make in that amount of time.
Right.
I like where this is going.
I like the idea, again, going back to the Pokemon, you know, reference point. Pokemon, you're supposed to kind of build up a roster of different monsters, whatever they are. Pokemans. Yeah, maybe you start out with a low-level lager, something that's like applicable to everybody.
Horse piss.
But yeah, or a Pilsner. You start out with a low-level Pilsner, but you work your way up, and you start specializing. Maybe you start doing New England IPAs. Maybe you start doing Belgiums, and you build a big roster, and then that's when you start competing, and you start putting them all up.
I like that.
Yeah.
What are we gonna call it?
Brewy, man.
Brew. Ooh, wait, I got it.
Okay.
And this is a complete ripoff of something that already exists.
Yeah.
Pico Brew.
Okay.
Yeah, but spelled with a K, so we don't get sued.
Because I think in a very early episode, I talked about the Pico Brew system, if I remember correctly, on this podcast.
I mean,
but
we've talked about that.
There's Pico breweries around.
Yeah, we've talked about other shit. You weren't here
Brew.
for us bashing the LG system that came out.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
But LG just put out a new system and it looks like trash.
A brewing system?
Yeah, we'll talk about it off mic because we've already inundated the audience enough with how much bullshit that thing is.
So we're going to Pico Brew.
Yeah.
We're making the Pico Brew video game.
Yeah, so we're going with Pico Brew video game.
So you have to have an Ash Ketchum kind of character.
Right. So that's why I'm thinking maybe, kind of to what Sam was talking about with the wrestling games, you start out as a no-name nobody, but you still eventually have to fight Triple H and The Undertaker and Stone Cold.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Fatal four-way.
At some point in Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
In Hell in a Cell.
Makes sense
so
to me.
maybe we can get other breweries
Yes.
on board
to buy in.
to be the bosses.
I like that.
Get like Sam Cooke from Dogfish Head. Or,
Right.
Andrew Witchy from Dancing Gnome. Or...
I think it's Sam Calzone from Dogfish Head.
Oh, you're right. Who's Cook? Stone.
Jim Cook. Well, there's Jim Cook from Sam Adams, and then there's Greg Cook from
Greg
Stone.
Cook. Man, I'm getting all my names mixed up.
I butchered Sam's name from Dogfish Head too. It's not Calzone, but
Dick York.
Dick York.
Dick Sargent. Sergeant York.
I dream of Jeannie. Yeah, but if you want to learn how to brew that style, you got to beat the winner. You got to beat the leader of that gym.
And then you'll get the recipe.
Yeah, then you get the recipe.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I like the way this is turning out.
Yeah.
This sounds
If you're
great.
listening to this, do not steal. I'll punch you. I'll give you noogies like I gave that sheep noogies.
Sheep
Somebody
Noogie's
can make
band
the
name
game,
called
but we got to get royalties for the idea. We got to copyright that.
Yeah, I think so.
What would the final battle be?
I think final battle is got to be the Great American Beer Fest.
I like that.
But you got to take on like the 4 top breweries. So like maybe you have to take on like, that's the other thing. Another thing about Pokemon. I don't know why I know so much. It's probably because I watched it in the morning before I went to school.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
It's either that or Today Show.
Yeah, it was in the morning, and you go, who's that Pokemon? I was like, I don't know, probably Diglett. And then I'd be right, because he's the only one that looks like a penis sticking out of the ground. But the other thing about Pokemon was, like, there were the 4 legendary Pokemon that were, like, the top Pokemon. I wish Bubba was here. He would back me up, or Dennis. They could both back me up, because I think they actually played Pokemon.
Right, they could do the Charizard thing.
Yeah, the Charizard thing.
It's Charmander, dude.
Whatever.
Come on, know your Pokemon, Adam. Know your Pokemon.
They can do the Charizard evolution. But maybe those are like secret battles for like really special beers. And maybe like one of those is the Utopias by Sam Adams. And the other one's the End of the World. And if you can actually beat those beers,
Yes.
then you get the recipes for them and you get to use them.
I like that.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing is, Pokemons have the evolution. So your beers can evolve as well.
Glitter beers.
Right. It starts as a standard stout, and then it becomes a coconut stout, and then
Right.
it becomes a coconut glitter stout. Or it starts as an IPA and becomes a double IPA.
And then a triple IPA, and then a quadruple IPA,
Yeah.
and then nonsense.
And then nothing. And then singularity. Then it becomes whiskey with hops.
Oh, don't say that, because somebody's going to try it.
Oh, there's hopped whiskey out
Is
there.
there really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Wiggles already done it.
Who would do such a
Hopped
thing?
whiskey, hopped cider. Red Bear does hop cider.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think Jameson's might have hopped whiskey, too. Might.
I'll just go ahead and avoid that.
Yeah, might.
Can neither confirm or deny that. I have no idea.
You know what? I walk it back. I can't remember either.
Who knows?
Don't believe me. I'm full of shit.
Regardless.
Regardless, I think we came up with a good game. It's called Pico Brew. It's coming out on your iPhone and the apps
And the androids,
and the Androids.
rated M for
The
mature.
apples.
You can play it on your Samsung.
Could play it at Fenway Park.
You play it on Fenway Park, watching the Sox, eating Danes.
Drinking that
big vat
Trillium
of
beer.
beans.
Just
in
a
the
big-
beer garden on the Greenway.
That's right.
On the Greenway?
Yeah, it's a little pop-up beer garden right in the middle of downtown Boston, right on the Greenway.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's right on the
It's like
Greenway.
this little park thing next to the highway.
On your way to
Downtown
Wahlburgers
There it is.
to hang out with Donnie and Mark.
There's another brother too, I think.
Sure.
Probably is.
There's a third Wahlberg brother. He's kind of behind the scenes though.
Yeah, he's like the other Manning brother. Nobody cares about him.
Cooper.
Yeah, nobody cares about Cooper Manning. He never threw a touchdown to save his life. That piece of shit.
That's because he was a
Doesn't even
receiver.
have a Super Bowl ring.
Aw. I'm sure one of the other
Eli
brothers let him win one.
Eli or Peyton can give him one of theirs. They got multiples. I was trying because Eli plays for the Giants. I was trying to mix my Boston accent with my Bronx accent, like do this mishmash accent.
Mishmash.
Boston and Bronx, 2 great states in the United
Sam is the
States
girl
of
talk of
America.
accents.
Mashing up these accents, creating new accents right here on the show. Should do an accents episode. We'll just make up accents the whole time.
I
and
will
drink
lend you
beer.
the equipment. You let me know when it's done.
Got these ideas coming out of my head right now for future episodes.
Awesome. Well, write them down. We'll maybe try to integrate them. Maybe.
Maybe.
For now, let's come back to our final beer of the evening, the AAAlterrr Ego by Treehouse.
Who wants to go first, Sam?
I'll go first. I like this beer. I think it's very thirst quenching. It's drinkable, palatable. Is it the best beer I've ever had from Treehouse? No. Is it the best beer I've ever had? No. I don't know. Obviously it isn't if it wasn't even the best beer I've had from Treehouse. But, what's interesting about some of these beers, they have so much notoriety and, they garner so much praise on, Instagram and Facebook and all these craft beer social circles. But, it makes me proud to be from Pittsburgh and some of the great beer that we have here that is very comparable, if not better than this. So it's just kind of cool that we can get, such similar beer right here in the Berg. But I don't mind drinking Treehouse whenever I get the opportunity. I think it's very good.
Cool.
That was my big spiel about that.
Yeah.
Steve.
No, but I totally agree with you, Sam. I like the fact that, one, we get comparable beer here in Pittsburgh with other breweries that are doing, the same, if not better. I've only had the one Treehouse beer, and I haven't loved it because it's mostly grapefruit flavor, and I really don't like that. But I've had, comparable New England style IPAs, and yeah, it's fine. I think maybe the hype train in the echo chamber for Treehouse and Trillium still might be a bit much. I haven't been convinced otherwise yet. I'm still willing to try more beers from Treehouse and try a beer from Trillium to see if I'm missing out on something.
Maybe.
I don't have FOMO, but I would like to know if it's something somehow better. Somehow better.
So I will agree with you a little bit on this, Steve, on the social media hype train. I like that word, I'll be honest.
Hype train.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I've heard about Trillium. I've heard about Treehouse. I've heard all these wonderful things about their New England style IPAs and all that stuff. But I was kind of happy that I was able to come into this one a little bit blind.
Mm-hmm.
I know of Treehouse. But I don't know Treehouse.
Yeah.
Because I don't get on the social media and follow, I'm not on the gram and all that stuff. So I'm aware, but I don't really follow. I don't get it. So I think I was a little bit fortunate to come in and essentially try this beer blind. I didn't have any of that hype coming in at me, and this beer is good. Yes, it's good. Is it the best I've ever had? Obviously not. I'll agree with Sam on that one. But for what it is, for the style, it's pretty good. Yeah. That grapefruit flavor that you don't like, Steve.
Yeah.
I could appreciate that.
Okay.
Is it the best I've ever had? No. It's pretty good? Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that comes down to the big question of the evening. Who wants to go first and who wants to go last? I'm going to say Sam can't go last.
Then he shall go
I
first.
can go first.
Okay.
All right, so in the interest of time, I'm going to just get through this rating here short and sweet. So no third place, no second place. We're going to do a 1A, 1B, 1C for me because I really enjoyed all of these beers. So 1C is going to be, interestingly enough, the Consolation Prize. Its name begins with a C, so why not? No, it's... I like this beer. I thought it was a really solid double IPA. The only reason that I'm putting it in last place today is because it was a little bit malty, a little bit boozy for me. And not that I don't enjoy that in a double IPA, but it wasn't in that true New England form that I am just all about right now. So although it was a good beer, it's going to go last. In second place, the 1B position is going to be the F.O.C.Less Monster by the Fat Orange Cat. I like that beer. It was a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more citrusy to me, a little bit more refreshing. I like the bitterness on the back end and love the citrusiness of it on the front end. So F.O.C.Less Monster is going in the silver medal position today. So, in first place for me, that leaves the Alter Ego by Treehouse in the 1A position. Very good beer, very refreshing. Love the citrusy and grapefruity notes. Finishes clean, doesn't leave a lot of resin and on the back end of your palate. And this is a beer that you can just kind of sip on and drink. It's the lowest ABV of our beers here today. It's 6.8 and just very refreshing and drinkable. And it's, like I said, it's always nice to have a Treehouse beer when you can come across it. So really enjoyed getting the opportunity to drink this one here on the show today. So those are my ratings.
All right, then. I'll go next. I was kind of surprised. I was expecting Sam to be a little more gushing. I guess just 1A, 1B, and 1C is enough.
That's all you're getting.
Is enough for him to get extra praise on these beers. But for me, the Treehouse is going to be bronze, and I'll acknowledge the fact in an Adam style for the style review that it is like kind of the most well-made New England IPA, and it's also the most picturesque. It's the one that fits the style the most. But goddamn grapefruit, I don't like it. So it's got to be bronze. Sorry. I'm not rating these for their New England IPA-ness. I'm rating them whether or not I like them.
And that is completely fair.
Yeah. Silver I'm going to give to the F.O.C.Less Monster by Fat Orange Cat. I thought it was a pretty decent beer. Again, didn't blow me out of my socks or anything. It's just a okay IPA. It's fine. It works. Drink it. I'm willing to try more from them. See if there's anything that's like the top pinnacle beer. I want to know what their best is. Because, I don't know if this is their best, but it's good. So I'd like to know what their best is now. And so that means gold actually goes to the Consolation Prize against the naming convention. I thought this was the best beer because it was everything that I like out of an IPA, especially a double IPA. It was big, it was boozy, it was flavorful. Yes, it had a little bit of bitterness and resinous on the back end, but I like that. That doesn't bug me. I'm a fan of that. it's the way I like my IPAs. I like my IPAs punchy. I don't necessarily love them pillowy soft with the baby boy ABVs and the negligible IBUs that aren't worth putting on the can or anywhere else.
Who are you?
What do you mean? Who am I?
God.
I love
Come on, Steve. That's what everybody else is drinking. Get on the bandwagon.
I've
dude.
never
Come
been
on.
trendy, and my Cannibal Corpse shirt says so. My old ass Cannibal Corpse shirt now.
It's vintage now.
Yeah, I think that shirt might be like 10 years old at this point.
Nice.
But the Consolation Prize is my go-to because it is the biggest of the 3 IPAs. I just love it. I like it. I want some more of it. Adam, close the show with negative notes.
You know what? I will and I won't.
Okay.
I'll start with the will. Obviously, these beers are not to my liking, to my taste. That's true. You've been saying it all episode.
You've been saying it more than all episode. You've been saying it. When did we start this podcast? Almost 2 years ago.
It's true, yeah. So in the bronze medal position, I have to put this F.O.C.Less Monster in there. I didn't like this beer at all. I didn't like it. Too many things that went against my personal tastes. I'm sure the folks at Fat Orange Cat are fine people. I just didn't like this beer. In the silver medal position, in the finally this beer goes in the right spot, is the Consolation Prize. Finally it goes there. It was better than the Fat Orange Cat, the F.O.C.Less Monster. And so we kind of just ended up there. But I don't believe it was as good as the Treehouse, which does go in the gold medal position. The Alter Ego. Yeah, it was closest to the New England style IPA that I have been used to. It is the most classic of the 3. So that goes in the gold medal position. Now, on a positive note, here's where I'm going to twist it a little bit. Obviously, these are beers that are not my style. So I'm going to give a charge to all 3 of these breweries. I would like to have all 3 of these breweries back here on the show with a different style. I would like to see those 3 come back on the show with a stout.
I don't think any of them do a stout, Adam.
I was going to say, that is going to be really hard to find.
I think they could do it.
I'll tell you, Fat Orange Cat does do a Saison. I get you that.
Okay.
I know that.
Okay. I would like to see what they could do with a stout. I want to see if these breweries are a one-trick pony. So I would like to see, if at all possible, I'm going to talk to you, Lord Hobo, Fat Orange Cat, and Treehouse. If and when you're listening, let us know if you have any stouts available. I would like to have you guys back on this show with a stout to flex your muscles a little bit.
And I do know that Treehouse does do some stouts and porters, but they are few and far between.
That's
so
fine.
Acquiring one of those is going to be
They just got to send us one.
a bit of a challenge.
It is a challenge.
The brewery's probably not going to send us any.
Probably
not. But we'll see if we can get somebody up there to send us.
Adam, they
I'm
do
just being
have
realistic.
Yeah, Adam, they do have Treehouse.
Uh-huh.
They have a Russian Imperial Stout
Fantastic.
by the name of Space and Time.
Okay. I would be more than willing to try that on the show.
All right, then. Well, if you ask nicely and you beg now, the same way Sam has been begging all episode, Fat Orange Cat, Lord Hobo, and Treehouse, feel free to send us anything outside of the IPA style and see if you can impress Adam and, frankly, impress me.
Yes, I would like to see. That's why I picked a specific style, the stout, because I'd like to line these three breweries up again.
Oh, yeah. Because, if you pick stouts, if you impress me with a stout, all right.
Exactly. We got Stout 1 and Stout 2 here.
Yeah, I'll edge to you the same way Sam does for your IPAs.
Right. We're not too proud around here.
That's right.
So there you go. There's my ranking and my rant.
Okay. Well, good rant. If you want to find us on social media, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA, and that'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you want to listen to brand new episodes every Friday, as you should, then all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA on your favorite podcatcher like Podbean, Stitcher, Google Music Play, and Apple Podcasts. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review because
we are a 6-star show, but they only let us use 5.
Review us. Be nice. Tell your friends. That's more important.
And then have them tell 2 friends.
And then have them tell 2 friends. Do the reverse funnel for us, please. We're not a multi-level marketing scheme. We're not trying to sell you shitty ass CBD oil.
No, but we are trying to sell you T-shirts.
We are trying to sell you T-shirts on TeePublic. Also search Hop Nation USA.
And beg you for Toppling Goliath, Trillium, Treehouse, Alchemist, and 450 North.
450 North, yeah. There you go.
Let's try to think of
Don't
the
forget
last
that
one
one
we talked about.
Yeah, don't forget that one.
Such a long list I have to rattle off here.
Page 2.
Page 2. Cigar City. Hunapoo.
I can trade you Dancing Dome, Hitchhiker, and Grist House.
Like the whole breweries? That's a lot for just a couple of beers.
Not my breweries. I'll give away the whole damn thing. I don't care. I'll start selling the employees, the owners of those breweries too.
No. You can't sell people, Sam. We made laws against that.
Even for beer?
Even for beer. What do you think this is, Libya? Cut it out.
Ooh, hey.
Hot takes. Aha. Check out for Pico Brew on the App Store. See you next week. Bye. I don't care if you squeeze your dick. Just stop grabbing the microphone.